Hello everyone and welcome again to my channel. I wanted to start with a round of introductions so that you know where you are, who you're listening to, and why all this happened. So to start with, you have probably seen that the name of the channel is BistraWrites, and I am Bistra. Bistra Stoimanova. I am a writer, translator and interpreter, photographer and podcaster as of really recently. I started writing at age 11. I started taking pictures at age 17. I am currently a freelance translator and interpreter, freelance photographer and a writer. I know you probably hear in some of the episodes that I don't have a published book. This is because they have been pre-recorded, but as of now, at the time of the recording of this thing, I already have a published book and a few more lined up. So, let's start with a few funny things. So, each child has a dream of what you want to be when you grow up. And if you have asked me, I never dreamt of becoming any of those. Translator, photographer, even writer. Nothing. I wanted to ride horses when I must have been like 7 or 8 years old, simply because I love horses. So I started writing at age 11, which was roughly in elementary school in Bulgaria. And my teachers were sort of shocked because I wanted to write books, not short stories, no poems, books. So my first book was actually a notebook, which I used to write on one side of the notebook and draw a picture on the other. Yes, I can draw. I'm not really an artist there, so I'm not amazing, but it can do. You can look me up in Google. You'll see some pictures on my Facebook profile probably. So it had been fun. I used to do it for like 2-3 years and then I gave up. Then at age 14, I wrote my first longer story, which is to date not finished, but still it was quite long compared to the other things. It was also a book. It was a fantasy in English. And the point of writing this in English was simply because I wanted to learn the language. And I didn't see any other way to do it apart from writing something. A story which will make me think outside of the exercises and activities in the textbook. It did work and I still love the story, but we'll see what will happen to it. Then high school struck and at 17 I finished my first ever novel, and I finished it because of my classmates, because they saw me writing on one of the boring classes. I mean, funny and oddly enough, it was an English class, but things that were with my class that I usually did all the activities in the textbook way before the rest, so I had some idle time. And what I did I think it was a winter afternoon, I just started writing a story. So some of the classmates saw me writing and they wanted to see what it is about. I gave out the sheets of paper I was writing on, so they started pushing me and chasing me, what's going to happen, how it's going to end, and I told them, I don't know. And they asked me, how don't you know? You should know you're writing this. And I said, well, I know what happens like 2 sentences away and nothing more. And I write like that, but more about that in another video, you'll see. So they kept pushing me to write what happens next. They kept reading what I was writing. So 5 weeks later, again aged 17, I completed the story. Speaking of first drafts, this is probably an awful one, but my 17-year-old self was not a genius. So I wrote that. I was proud of it at the time, and I discarded it. Then I went to university and I didn't really have the time for writing. Up until 2017, when things changed and I had an idea one February late evening, not to say in the dead of night, and I started writing my longest story to date. Before you start laughing, yes, it is a fan fiction, but yes, I do love that story. If if you haven't seen it, that's probably because it's in Bulgarian. If you speak Bulgarian, you can check it out in the channel. There's already the first episode uploaded. The story is called Различен следовател. There is a blog of the story. I post almost each week a new chapter because it's a huge thing, trust me. And it has been such fun to write. It taught me a lot because it was my guinea pig. Believe me, it's anything in there. I tried a lot on those characters, they hate me. But this was the beginning. This was the first time I actually considered writing something and completing it. And that was the moment when I thought, okay, let's try and write this story first to get it off my head. And when it didn't work, I decided to keep on writing until I have finished it, just to prove to myself that I can finish something. It turned out to be 2,300 pages to date, comprising of 3 books. It's a long thing, yeah. But I still love it. And I still write from time to time something new about that, be it a Christmas story or something for the fans of the story. So this thing was the first thing that actually made me think about writing at all and completing stories, because I've always had some ideas in my head, but this doesn't mean that I have actually completed those. So I kept on writing on and off up until 2018, when I finished the first book, and I thought that was it. Okay, I had proven to myself that I can write. I completed the story. I went to the university print center and printed it out. It's a huge thing. You could actually use it to keep furniture in place. So that thing led to the creation of profiles in writing sites where I started sharing it, because I thought, okay, this thing is huge. I love it, but would somebody else even read it? And I wanted to check. People read it. They encouraged me to publish it. I started looking for a publisher. Didn't find one, of course, because it's not that easy. More about that in other things. And they started asking questions. The readers. What happens there? Why this is like that? Which led to other stories. And I realized that one book is not enough. So I wrote a second one. Or at least started to write a second one, because at the time I was writing bits and pieces from parts of the book. I realized that this is not the end of the story. So I started a third one. And at the end of the story, I realized that we need to finalize this, so I wrote an epilogue. And then I realized that this is not the end of the story, and I wrote a second epilogue. So this is how the story goes. I'm saying that because I completed the last part of the story in 2021, at the beginning of 2021, and that was the first time I ever dared to call myself a writer. 5 years later, after I started writing seriously, and by seriously I mean writing huge volumes regularly. Maybe not every day, but at least once a week or a month at least. Somewhere in between I started writing poetry because my mind just clicked. And the funny thing is that before 2019, even with a pistol to my head, I couldn't comprise anything in rhyme. I couldn't do anything there. Not even a single rhyme. Nothing, because to me poetry rhymes. I'm old-fashioned there. So at the beginning of 2021, I completed the fanfic, and I said, fine, perfect, amazing. Now I'm free to write all my other stories. Those characters are done. And so I did. So I wrote 2 more books plus collections of short stories. I managed to publish one of them. And somewhere around that time, I bought a microphone. This microphone I'm recording this episode on. And it was by chance, because our company gave us an allowance for home office tools, and I bought a set of headphones. But the funny thing was that they had 2 jacks, one for the microphone and one for the headphones themselves. And my company laptop has a single jack for both, so I needed to look for that little thing that would convert the two jacks into one. And while looking for this thing, I came across an advertisement for a discounted microphone. And I thought, fine, I don't really need it, but for my photography channel, which is BistraWrites photography, and I said that in Bulgarian with a Bulgarian pronunciation, sorry. So it's Bistra Stoimanova Photography. I'll probably link it down below in the description so that you could find it if you would like to. There are some interesting things in English. So thing is that there I usually do voiceover of my videos because I love voiceover. And I decided, fine, I may not use it a lot, but still it's not that expensive, so why not buy it? And I did. I checked the sound, how it sounds, how it works. It worked okay, and shelved it. Later on though, I decided, fine, okay, let's try and do something with this. And what I did was to take out my fan fiction series because it's the longest piece of fiction I have ever written. And I started reading it aloud and recorded myself. It took me like 5 attempts to actually like what I was doing. You can check it out because this is the very same thing I have uploaded in Bulgarian. There's no need to understand the language to actually check how I sound there because I got better in time. But, you know, you can't really do amazing the first time you do something. So it was a good attempt. I liked it. And I started asking readers if they would like to have an audio version because I have audio versions of other things I have written as well. And some of them said yes, they suggested a podcasting platform for me. I knew nothing about podcasts at the moment, only I knew that it's like YouTube but with audio files. And since I was not really keen on showing myself on camera, and as you can see right now, I'm recording this, which is the introductory video to the channel in English, and I'm not recording myself yet. So you can guess why I became a photographer, because I wanted to be behind the lens. Haha. So I knew nothing. I decided to just check and see what happens. And it seemed to be very, very easy. People liked it. Whoever had a podcast passion or listened a lot to those. And things went on. So it was first only in Bulgarian, then I added English because I realized that apart from reading out whatever I have written, I have things about writing to say, so I continued. And this is how the podcast was born. I decided to create this YouTube channel just to mirror the podcast and add a little bit of other things. So if you are listening at this point, which I'll be grateful if you do, but if you don't worry, no offense taken. So if you're listening right now, you're probably wondering, what is she doing here? Why should I listen to her? I get that totally legit question. So what I want to say is that this is not going to be just another writer's podcast or writer's channel. So there are amazing things said about writing on AuthorTube. I follow a lot of amazing people here, amazing writers who have great ideas, great advice. So I'll try not to repeat what they have said. I'll just give you examples from my own experience. So usually example starts with Idiot Me, because Idiot Me is the person who tried to publish a fan fiction and did it the totally wrong way, because you'll see. But it's funny. I'll try to tell you some things I learned by trial and error. Yeah. I'll try to show you whatever I think would be interesting. And I'll do some motivational talk, because I think anyone, as people, from time to time we do think we suck. And this is not really true and not always true. And sometimes you just need a little bit of push, a little bit of real stories telling you that you're doing the right thing. So I'll probably do that. It came out a little bit later while I was speaking about writing, and I realized that a lot of people could be discouraged just by hearing the reality. And I want to give you some hope that there is hope. You just need to keep looking. I'll probably do some funny videos featuring myself. So you have videos, but that will be when I figure out how to do that, because I'm not really a videographer. As I said, I'm a photographer, so it's a little bit frustrating for me to be in front of the camera of any kind. So we'll see how that would work. And maybe if you would like me to, I could probably do some reviews of books, because I love reading. Any writer does, basically, and I have a lot to say. So, thank you so much for staying with me till the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and next time I'll be showing you some really funny things, because my English videos are usually funny. If you speak Bulgarian, you could check out either my website, my Facebook page. There are a lot of things going on. You can check my Instagram even, because I post funny pictures there as well, or not so funny pictures, it depends. And see you next time. I really hope to see you next time. Bye bye for now.